Welcome, everybody, to the Wellness Founders Podcast, where we explore the business of wellness and the people creating the future of well-being. Today, we have Natalie Gardner on the podcast, the co-founder and driving force behind Dr. Doug's Miracle Balms, a clean body care company inspired by real family needs and real-life results. After spending about 20 years in the pharmaceutical and biotech industry, Natalie has become very passionate about finding safer, simpler wellness solutions that work. And alongside her husband, Dr. Doug, has brought this line of organic balms to life. So there's different ones that are designed for everyday problems like muscle pain, leg cramps, growing pains, sleepless nights, all sorts of things. And you are also leading the customer education, brand partnerships, community outreach, all things Dr. Doug's Miracle Balms. Natalie, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for coming.
Jordan, thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Awesome. Well, we met at Running Man, where you guys were slanging your post-race recovery balm, where you had a bunch of people dying on this mile-long loop where they may have run a half marathon, a marathon, an ultra marathon, all sorts of things, and they were crawling over to you in need of some solutions. And I was fortunate enough that you had some for me. And yeah, I'm curious how the Running Man event was for you guys, like how and how you decided to be a sponsor at that event.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I'll tell you why we decided is when I first heard about it, the vibe just sounded like our kind of thing. We don't do a ton of events. We're really particular about the ones that we do, but from year one, we contributed a bit, but we didn't necessarily fully sponsor. Doug and I wanted to check it out, and it was such an incredible experience. So year two and year three, we did sponsor and have a booth there, and it was just amazing to meet so many different great people from all walks of life. That Running Man, Jesse, the whole team brings together such an amazing, just good people, good group of people.
Yeah. Yeah, it was super fun, and I'm curious, when you reflect back on, ROI of the product and whether that's brand awareness or whether that's units sold, what are you guys evaluating when you look at an event? You said that you're quite particular about the events you go to, so how do you measure like the success of a trip like that?
Well, I'll tell you, for me, the measure of success right now, because really we're trying to get brand awareness. When people try it, they love it. And to have an experience where you are kind of hobbling along and stop. And Doug usually says, "Hey, just put it on one knee," or whatever the problem is. And to see the the quick response, but also just people's reaction is that reminds me why we do this, right? Because it truly, if it doesn't help people, what are we doing? And so to be able to actually see that and be out and witness it in person instead of being behind the computer doing all the other things, which are so important to keep the business going and to grow. But those just being there is really what we're evaluating on now. There's definitely more sales that will come. The reviews, even coming from last year, I'll tell you a story. My 18-year-old son came with us this year, and we're still a small business, but I thought it would be great for him to experience it before he goes off to school next year. And he loves business and entrepreneurship. And he just looked over at me and he's like, "Mom, everybody keeps coming up saying how much they loved this stuff from last year." Because a lot of the places we go, people are still learning for the first time about it. So it was really eye-opening for him as well, just to see the differences and how being consistent and making sure you're putting a good product out there makes a difference for people. And that's the drive, right?
Yeah, yeah. When you can especially be right in front of someone and there's like an immediate result, I think that's hugely beneficial, especially for like a product company like this. And I'm curious, you coming from a background, 20 years, pharmaceutical, biotech industry, going into a product like this and in a line of organic balms, like what was that like? How did that transition go for you personally?
Well, it's interesting because I was fortunate enough to always be able to. I mean, I believe in modern medicine. I'm grateful for some of the things that we have and we can provide to people who really need them. But I feel like there's just so much more that we can do before we get there to um to just put good things in our body and on our body, there that and so we don't have all the side effects of other things. So I'll go back and I'll say I've been very fortunate to be recruited into the different roles that I was recruited into in biotech and pharma over the years were ones that I really believed in. I mean, the education wasn't out there on the disease state. So for me, I'm not so much a hard salesperson. I guess I've just always believed in educate, learn the science, educate, communicate. And if it's the right thing for somebody, fantastic. If it's not, that's okay too. But if we can provide, in those roles, I always just wanted to get out and educate, and hopefully, if nothing else, they would learn more about the disease state and what the science, what the science was bringing. And so, um, I went from different role in the organizations and everything. There were lots of good experiences during that time, and I treated everything really like my own business, right? I mean, that's just how I've always functioned, is running it like it's my own. But making that transition, and this is something, Dr. Doug's is something we started just as a side gig, really. It was Doug was doing his or his adventure races, whatever they may be. There's a lot of different stories I could tell you on that, and a lot of great ones. But he wanted one thing instead of all the things to keep in his pack when he was doing like 100-milers out there. The ultimate suck is 36 hours, and you're just going and going. He wanted one thing instead of all the things he would have to carry to prevent blisters, prevent chafing, heal his skin. And that's really where it started from. And before you know it, I mean, for those of your viewers who are your listeners who do these kind of races, they know you become a family around the country. And before we knew it, people were asking him, "Did you bring that stuff? Did you bring that miracle stuff?" And so I remember looking at him one day and just saying, you really need to sell this stuff. You need to make it available to more people. And he looks back and he's like, "I'm a neurologist. I, I don't know the first thing about that, but I can make it. I could do the R&D and so that's kind of where the business started. And so we started on the side, and this is kind of a long answer to your question, but the transition came when we had it tested. It's helping people with everything from itchy, dry skin to eczema to muscle and nerve pain, restless legs, sleep, like you mentioned some of those earlier. And it's truly because we saw it truly working, we knew it was time to make that transition. If I didn't make that transition, was it really going to be able to get out to people? So it was a slow transition, but once I dove in, it was full force ahead, and let's get it in the hands of the right people who can spread the word and who truly believe in the clean, clean and natural, and that we don't need all those other things going into our largest organ and into our bodies. So I
Yeah,
hope
like you
that.
said, he's a neurologist. So how was it that he formulated the original version of it? Um, and then how much outside help was needed? It sounds like there was some outside help needed to complete everything, but
He would compound things for his patients all the time. If he told you that story, that's what he would do. Like he would make little concoctions, and he just loved to be able to find the right thing that helped his neuro patients. And so it was kind of a no-brainer. I mean, he would make these things in his hotel room, in his kitchen, until he got it to what he wanted. So really they were made out of a need that he had, and it turns out a lot of other people had it. And that or it was I mean, the base of all of our products is 7 organic ingredients. So it was super simple. A lot of them are found in your kitchen: coconut oil, olive oil, well, most people won't have beeswax in their kitchen, but some beeswax, um, a little bit of peppermint and lavender essential oils for those anti-inflammatory and calming properties, and vitamin E. So it's super simple. He has formulated it so it absorbs completely, so it's not greasy or leave that residue on your skin that some some things leave, but each additional product that we've had since then just have one or two added ingredients. So the one that we formulated for Running Man, the Race Rescue, it's actually our recovery balm. So it has magnesium chloride, which is great for muscle and nerve pain. That's what you use for, if people are experiencing cramping, restless legs, just true muscle and nerve. And then it also has Arnica montana, which is nature's Motrin. So it helps with everything, any kind of joint pain. That's the one that really helps with joint pain and helped a lot of the runners at the event. And so with the Running Man one, we put eucalyptus in it too, which is a favorite of that community. So
And then for you, when you're deciding, okay, I'm gonna go all in on this, and like, was there a point in which it had to show you something before you're like, I'm gonna quit my career and do this?
great question.
Yeah.
Great question. Absolutely. And the first step before we even started on the side was to take it to some dermatology offices and some other physicians pediatricians, et cetera, and get their feedback. So the derms almost immediately saw it working for the super dry cracked skin, like the dermatitises and eczema. I mean, even some of the patients who had been on pharmaceutical medications for years were getting some relief by just using this product 7 organic ingredients after their shower. So and the patients were asking for it, right? People wanted natural, especially those with the kids. I think a lot of times people put their kids before themselves in when they're looking for things, and then they realize, oh, this is great for all of us. But when they have little ones and don't want to put them on all kinds of different pharmaceuticals that may cause other side effects, it's been really rewarding to me, and the physicians have been really excited to see it as well. So that was one of the first steps, is to take it out, get it tested. I mean, we haven't done the formal FDA testing. That's that's not really where we are with this small business, but we still wanted to make sure that if we brought something to market that it works, and we don't want to bring anything out if it's not going to. So people ask them to formulate things all the time, and once in a while we'll do it. Sometimes not. But if there's science behind it, why not? Why not give it a try and see if it can have a place in the world?
But was there for you, it was okay, so you were taking these to these dermatologists and they were saying, hey, it's healing this, healing this. But was there a revenue point, or was there a certain number of sales that you needed to see to like believe that you needed to go all in? Or it was just pure faith of like, okay, a couple people are saying they like it, let's do it?
Well, you know what? I should have been thinking more along those lines, but I just truly believed that if we put our hearts and souls into it, it would grow. And it really has. I mean, we also did analysis of the market, but there wasn't like a number put on it that would get me to that point. It was really just all of the things coming together that just took the leap of faith, I guess.
And then you having a pharmaceutical background, you're obviously like well versed in how some types of medications, like whatever it is, the process that they need to go through to get to market. Um, was it also weird for you to go from like the pharmaceutical industry to this type of product? Because typically in the pharmaceutical industry, there's going to be a lot of products that are not natural, not supernatural, or maybe not as transparent. Did you see like a big disparity between this life that you'd had for 20 years? Not saying that you were part of it, but just you
Yeah.
observe it if you're in that industry.
Well, 100%. And it really, I started seeing more and more of things that could be better. And I guess personally, I wanted a little more, and I wanted the transparency. I love that we'll just talk through anything that we do. There's no secret there. Uh, and it truly is about getting it to the people who need it most. And I think even though I always thought that way in my previous jobs as well, there were a lot of barriers, and a lot of things that we couldn't do, and a lot of things that we were restricted by. But personally, me learning through this whole journey about the things that we can do now that you don't have to use. Now, again, I go back. There's a need for modern medicine, right? I mean, there are some great things that they've done, but there are also some things that I don't think that we need. And I think that have been presented to us in a way that isn't necessarily genuine or true.
And
So I'm happy to be able to be in this place where it's like, hey, listen, simple, organic, been used for centuries, right? If your dog eats it, that's okay. and just be able to see the results that we see without all the stuff. Does that answer your question?
it does. And I'm curious on the business side, what you've learned the most from that transition, from being in the in the industries that you were in for 20 years, coming into basically run a business that maybe you don't know how to do, but you're just blind faith it's going to work. Like, what did you learn from that?
I've learned that I have a lot to learn. I've learned that everything changes so fast that I want to be 10 steps ahead instead of behind, right? I mean, those are the things where I know I can go out and learn it, but you have to surround yourself with the right people, the right mentors, the right um the right people who truly want growth for you as well. And that makes all the difference. I mean, the first couple years were super hard. I mean, I was I was learning and I knew a lot. I'm not I mean I have a good I have a good business background and skills, but there's still so much to learn, especially with this ever-changing e-com market. I just finding the right people to be by my side and want good things for the company and mentor and know the possibilities makes such a difference. And I think that's one of the reasons why we go back to the vibe of Running Man, right? Um, Goodness, how many amazing entrepreneurs that have been super successful, grown, sold, created things for the wellness community that have been amazing and just brought it back and love to just be with each other and find that growth together. So I've been fortunate in that way too.
Yeah, and I'm curious, when you were deciding to go all in on this business, how did you determine what's your zone of genius that you want to run in the business? Obviously, when you're running a small business, you kind of got to do everything, but you're running this with your husband, which I think a lot of people have an idea that they could run something with a partner, or a life partner, but that could be very difficult. And then you're deciding the roles and responsibilities between the two. How did that go about, and how did you determine what you were going to work on versus what he's going to work on? And
Well, we kind of decided that from the very first moment. And I'll tell you, we were just friends when I remember him telling me this story. I would have never, like, it just didn't even cross my mind, right? That we would be married today. But it is hard. And especially when I mean, you're doing different pieces. So he's always been focused on the R&D and the chemistry behind it and that piece. The rest of the business side has been what I've been building. And so, but it also comes together at some point. So it's hard to be each other's bosses at different points, right? And then what has really gotten us through a lot of the challenging times, because we know entrepreneurship can be, ups and downs. I actually just put something on LinkedIn about that the other day, but it can like drag you down and then boost you back up all in the same, all in the same week. But for me, I know that my goal, even though we're still small and I need to do a lot of things myself, my goal is to work on the business instead of in the business. So finding the right people to be on the team, keeping it small and tight for as long as we can, but and choosing the right vendors to work with as well is really key for my side of the business. On the other side, we recently found a new manufacturer. So even though Doug was making it himself and he still does the development himself in our small collab products he'll do, he also has his own neurology business that he's growing. So we've started to transition him out of the R&D side and finding the right people to jump in and be able to keep up the quality and the service that we expect.
And you talk about choosing the right vendors, working with new manufacturing. What is it that you're looking for when you're evaluating people to work with in those capacities? And were there some mistakes along the way that you learned from? Like, give me the whole rundown.
Lots of mistakes on the way. There are always in entrepreneurship, I have learned there are always bright and shiny objects and the next thing that's going to be the great thing, and all these distractions and constant shoulder taps, just, taking you off what the main goal needs to be right now, or at each stage of right now. And so, yeah, absolutely. There have been mistakes along the way. And I think that's what brought me to what we were talking about a little bit before about making sure the people that you are surrounding yourself with are the great ones, are the ones that we connect with really well and trust, because those are the ones that have been able for me to be able to refer me to the right people, right? So if we're looking for, I want to hear successes, not just from that company, but from people who have worked with them, people that trust them, people that know them. And there's so many great people who have gone through exactly what we're going through with a different product, of course, and have learned the hard way. So let's learn from each other. I think that is so important, to listen, not get in our own silos and think that all these bright and shinies are going to be the next perfect thing to make the business soar, because just being, I think being ourselves and doing what we feel in our gut is a big part of it. And then following that business plan and making sure we're looking at, because obviously we would give tons away if we could, but we also need to be able to sustain the business and grow it. So focusing on what is that next thing that can really drive revenue so we can do more and get it into the hands of more.
And what have been some of those things for you as you've talked to some of these people, or you've had advice or insights? What do you think's made an outsized difference?
Being ahead of the game. So at first, most of our business is on our Shopify site right now. We have a lot of D2C, and that really grew organically over the years. So ever since we started it on the side, we've been growing that email list. So the D2C has really been our focus. However, one of the things that we started this year is a focus group with physical therapists, chiropractors, holistic practitioners who have started using the product and have found a lot of benefit. And we're trying to learn from them on how do we get to, where's the next step within the holistic practitioner community, because they're the ones that want this. They need it. And when they see it working, they spread the word too. So that's one of the big opportunities. As far as wholesale, for the most part, we have not had the bandwidth to go out and do that yet. So we're looking for good partners to do wholesale and spread the word more from that perspective. We do have several dermatology offices, like athletic boutiques, spas, et cetera, that have come to us, and so they are wholesaling, but we don't have that capacity just yet to go out. So we're looking for things there. But at the same time, there's a lot changing in e-com. I mean, we don't have a ton on Amazon yet. We have a small, we're starting to grow there, but really getting ahead of the game and making sure that we are educating as much as we can, getting the information out there, getting our site set up, our blogs that have the right information, so that as e-com is changing and the LLMs are bringing in all this information and scraping all these sites, that we're positioned properly, and that we're educating on what the consumer is looking for. So that has been one of those have been our focus right now and this year.
And it sounds like a lot. Like there's still, you could go down the path of focusing on wholesaling and go down the path of expanding on Amazon, expanding the B2C online, customer education, focusing on creating more blogs, more social media content. How do you determine what is like priority number one and what becomes the domino for everything else?
Yeah. Well, and that's why we're doing some focus groups too, to make sure that we know which one should be first. Number one right now though is to make sure that our education plan is solidified and implemented. So that is putting all the education out there, getting the blogs out there, making sure Doug is answering the questions people want answered from physicians on the natural products and what the ingredients do. And I mean, there's so much you can get into on magnesium, topical magnesium, all of these topics that a lot of people are looking for right now. What can natural skincare help you with, and to what extent? How quickly does it work? I mean, there's so many things that people are asking. So how can we provide that education? And that will help us for all of the other things we talked about, right? So it'll help us in in the holistic practitioner world. It'll help us. Our direct to consumer is pretty established. Obviously, it continues to need to grow, but that will help us there as well as with wholesale.
And in this education plan, like how do you create that and how do you, because you could, there's even prioritization among that, right? Of like,
hmm
here's the right questions to answer and the right channel to do it. Like, how are you prioritizing what goes into this education plan and what is it going to be?
Well, that's a good question because I've been working on that a lot lately, and I went to an amazing ecom. It was called Market Masters this past weekend in Austin, and again met some of the smartest people in the industry that are just open and wanting to help you learn. And so I'm partnering with a couple of them as they're years ahead, right? And instead of going to people who have just learned how to do what's successful now or 2 years ago, they're helping me get to that point where we can be ahead of the game on the ecom standpoint. And so we're putting a plan. I mean, I'm working with like I said, some of the smartest people in the industry to get a plan together to make sure that I was doing it on my own. So I was using all the different, just as a summary, I was using all the different LLMs. So Perplexity Pro and ChatGPT and Grok and Gemini, I mean, all of them to ask the same question and ask what consumers are asking, and then pulling it all together to make priority lists on what Doug and I need to write and what kind of education people are asking for. So what kind of FAQs do we need to have? All of that. So I was doing it all manually. Now I have so much information that it's easy to start feeding in and making sure we're putting together a plan, and also launching or educating when it's a topic that's hot in the news, for example. So he talks a lot about concussion when that's big in the news, right? And so we can talk a little bit about what's trending now too.
And when you're at this summit, this conference, what was not very obvious to you that you learned from some of these people that are a few years ahead? What really sticks out?
How much I know I keep saying this because it's a high level, but ecom is constantly changing, especially with AI now. I mean, it is faster than ever, and there's no. I mean, in order to keep up, you have to be ahead. So, as a small business, we can grind like people used to grind in small business and be chasing our tail. So if we could do the right things, get in front of the people, pick the events, and be present, but then also have education that we truly believe in, that we write and approve. Okay, we're getting ideas, but we're actually like, let's be sure that we are working on that ourselves, and not using AI to do it all, but making sure the schema is correct behind the websites. I mean, there are so many things that you can build with AI, but did you know that if it's built if it's built in certain ways, the LLMs can't scrape it, so they have no idea what you're saying? I mean, that is important moving forward.
Yeah, there's so many little things, and I think what's interesting is AI from a strategic point of view. It can give you a lot of ideas, it can give you plans, but oftentimes it's just going to be going off of what you're saying anyway. So the human needs to be somewhat aware of what kind of strategy that they are. Like you have to be able to ask really good questions, and you have to be able to guide the strategy regardless as the human who's overseeing. At some point, maybe that switches where the the AI has better strategy. But I think what's going to continue to be really important in the AI world, especially as things are continuing to change, is that the humans are still driving the strategic point, because we're going to be able to see from a higher level like where things are going and prompt that particular AI in the right way to get the result that we need. And if you can't ask the right questions to the AI, it's just going to stay stuck where you're stuck mentally. So
I,
it could be tough with that.
I 100% agree with you. And I think that's where people get worried about even using AI, right? Like, I'm going to stop using my brain, but no, that's not it. I mean, you can use AI for your research and you need to,
Yeah.
but to your point, you ask the right questions, make sure you're challenging it and digging back in. I mean, you don't just go with what the AI says, but you can put a strategy together with more information if you use it in the proper way. But you're right. You have to be able to use it, but don't let it make your strategy,
Yeah.
or you're right. You're going to be behind again.
Well, a lot of people are using it as an affirmation. It's like, this is the type of strategy that I would like. Help me figure this out. And then it's like, yeah, you're so smart. Here's why this strategy is so good. And you could literally be like, actually, that's a really dumb strategy because of this. And it's like, you're right. That is a dumb strategy because of this. You're so smart.
I was gonna,
And
yeah.
you could just get in that cycle of using AI instead of as a creative brainstorming partner to expand your own mind. You could use it as this like one way affirmation tool to just tell you that you're great and never get anywhere.
I was gonna say the exact same thing, Jordan, because I was gonna say, well, ChatGPT thinks I'm amazing,
Yeah.
right? I mean, every day. Oh, that's a great thought. I'm like, okay, come on
Yeah.
now.
It's like cool out. We need I'm sure there's going to be an AI that's like just roasts you. It's like that's the prompt that comes natively in it, is the custom instructions are like, this is the asshole AI, and it's just going to roast every idea you have and be like complete devil's advocate, which would probably be quite valuable. So
I'm surprised that actually doesn't exist already.
yeah, you could just give it the custom instructions probably, or make a GPT, but
Yeah, you
it,
could.
it it probably does exist. I should search it. So within AI in the business, obviously in the e-commerce space, that's making things move really, really fast for you guys. Um, what do you think? You've got this educational content plan that you want to implement, and I'm assuming that's over the next year because we're about to
Mhm.
go into 2026.
Right.
Are there other initiatives that you guys have where you're like, we're really bullish on this? We think this is going to be a really good place to take the business, other than product development? Because I think product development's more on Doug's side, right? But on your side, running the business, what else are you betting on?
Right. Um, Collaborations. We actually have a couple great opportunities we're in talks with right now that could really make a difference and get the products into more and more hands. So we're really not. Yes, we have product development going on, but right now we're really focusing on the products that we have, because there are so many more people that they can help, and that's been one of our challenges too, right? Like, to find that avatar that we're going to focus on. So I mentioned to you earlier, the holistic practitioners are one that we're really focused on and pushing forward with right now. But I mean, it started for athletes, but the moms, I mean, this magnesium balm, it works wonders for people. At this event this past weekend, I gave a couple out and they're like, wait, it can't work that fast, right? I'm like, no, really, it does. If you have the right formulation, if it absorbs in the right way and you actually get those active ingredients, it really does work. But anyway, it can help so many different people. So how do you, I mean, those are some of the things we're looking at right now. Where are the clearest opportunities, and where can we expand the product, or not expand the product line, but expand the reach most?
So, Natalie, one thing I'd love to ask people at the end of the podcast is, what's your legacy in the wellness industry, and what's the movement that you want to be known for creating?
What is my legacy in the wellness industry, and what do we want to be known for? I would say s- simple works. You don't have to keep it simple. And okay, let me try that one again. What do we want the legacy to be, and what we want to be known for are really that simple products can truly work. You don't have to have all the added things in there that who knows what they're doing. Just use what works, and don't leave it under your sink for 2 years. So, simple organic ingredients that really work to protect, heal, and restore. And we want to be able to continue to create better and better products as the years go along. So hopefully people will trust and keep using them.
That was one thing that I took from your LinkedIn, which was choosing products you can trust shouldn't feel like a second job. And I think that seems like a main thing that you're hoping to leave as an imprint in the world, is maybe making it a little bit easier to choose products that you trust.
Thank you for making that more simple. Yes, you are
All
absolutely
good.
right.
Well, Natalie, thanks so much for joining me. I appreciate you. I appreciate the balm that I've got that is lasting me forever, which is awesome. Because there's not much you need to be able to get the relief. It's just a little bit at a time. So
Yeah, well,
thanks so much for coming on the podcast, and we really appreciate it.
thanks for having me. And please, anybody can reach out anytime.
Awesome.